SMART24, driving business.
Good evening to you tuned into SMART24 TV and happy new month. Thank you for joining us for this particular bulletin. I'm Rona Nahabwe with Winnie. Winza Naka Uchende Sign Language Interpretation. Before we kick it off, here's a quick look at our top stories. In business today, Rubanda district is set to witness a remarkable construction of $1.5 billion steel manufacturing plant. And the first day of counting starts. Billions of dollars are lost owing to plastic pollution in the environment. You're welcome once again to Business Today. I'm Rona Nahabwe, and let's kick it off with Rubanda District and prosperity beacons. Now, Rubanda District, known for its beautiful landscapes, is yet to receive or witness a remarkable construction of a steel manufacturing plant in Rugaramiro village, set to bring economic opportunities in the region. And this project is estimated to cost $1.5 billion, aiming to create a thriving industrial hub and contribute to the growth and development of the area. Here's a look at the story.
Uganda has substantial iron ore deposits, particularly in the southwestern region, with deposits found in districts of Kabale, Kanungu, Kisoro, and Kamwenge. To support mining and export of iron ore, Uganda is investing in infrastructure development. This includes the anticipating construction of a cutting-edge steel manufacturing plant in Rubanda district that promises to bring economic opportunities to the region. During site assessment, accompanied by Moses Kamuntu, director of Kamuntu Iron Ore Investment Limited Company, reveals that the plant is expected to cost $1.5 billion and produce an impressive daily output of 5,000 tons of steel.
We are about to build a steel industry in Rubanda, so we are assessing the mines where we'll be getting the product from for this factory. We are investing $1.5 billion in this steel industry, and we expect to be having a production capacity of 5,000 tons per day.
The plant's operations will require a substantial energy supply, necessitating 350 megawatts of electricity on a daily basis to power machinery. Despite this demand, Engineer Cheyune remains confident in meeting the energy requirements.
Though we need more, this factory needs about 350 megawatts. But we are looking at other sources of power, which we are already investigating. That is, there is thermal energy at some place, geothermal in a place called the Hamba. Yeah, I think around there we expect to build a geothermal plant which will be able to produce around 200 megawatts, as well as the land we have requested for from the government to put the plant, adjacent you saw a hill. That hill we would like to put wind turbines.
Moses Kamuntu expressed his optimism regarding the plant's potential to benefit not only Rwanda district but also neighboring areas. He emphasized on the plan to create approximately 40,000 direct and indirect job opportunities within the region, urging locals to maximize its advantages.
We've been waiting for many years. You know, most of these countries depend on steel, depend on iron ore. We have countries like America, which were built on iron ore. We see India, South Africa, where we have been.
I want to say that it is a huge benefit to the district as it will attract huge employment of not less than 5,000. I have interacted with the team in detail, and I'm told that it will attract employment of not less than 5,000 of our youth and other interested or qualifying persons.
Stephen Ampeire, Rwanda District LC5 chairman, highlighted significance of the plant's impact on local revenue and employment opportunities for both direct and indirect residents. He emphasized that it aligns with the district's development goals, fostering growth and prosperity.
Often investors have come here, they have presented themselves, but they have not proved us right. I look forward to your commitment, and as the cow has said, on behalf of the district, we shall offer support to this investment. As you may realize, my interest will be in the revenue and the employment, both direct and indirect jobs to our people.
Additionally, most leaders and locals in the district feel that the project is timely since they have had iron ore for long without devolved exploitation.
The
residents mainly want jobs and development from this project to take care of their families.
As anticipation builds, Rwanda district stands poised for a transformative journey with construction of this plant. The project not only holds promise of economic advancement, but also prospect of a prosperous future for the local community and beyond. Bronya Katsime, Norbert Ndiamhaji, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Moving on from Rwanda district, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics is set to undertake a total expenditure of over 339 billion shillings on the National Population and Housing Census of 2023. The very first day of counting starts on 25th of August this very year, and therefore Ugandans are urged to stand alert. Pedson Mumbere reports.
Government approved the carrying out of the National Population and Housing Census in August 2023. According to data from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the whole process will cost government over 339 billion, and the census counting day will start on 25th August 2023.
So it's a budget spread over a period of maybe 2.5 years, financial years. So they are not going to give me 339 billion and consume it in one night. The outlays that are spread throughout. Census night, I have said 24th, 25th, and the first day of counting is 25th. August for 10 days. Ceteris paribus.
Dr. Chris Mukiza, the Executive Director, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, says that mapping, procurement, training, recruitment and deployments will cost 160 billion, then census counting facilitation will cost 176 billion.
Census, the pre-census activities I was talking about, mapping, procurement, training, recruitment, deployment of those materials will cost 160.6 billion. Then the census counting, this is facilitating the people who will be counting us. We with their supervisors and their payments and analysis and dissemination is 176.
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics will employ over 110,000 enumerators to gather information for the first ever digital national population and housing census. Stakeholders cautioned against undercounting of people because it affects planning and allocation of resources by government.
The moment you undercount any place, it affects in the planning and the resource mobilization. The recent budget, we saw figures going high. Kasese getting 70-something billion. Yes. Our Kiso getting 78 billion. Tororo getting 53 billion. It's not because of anything else, but it's the population. And I wish we got to know that counting of people just like any other family.
And with this online, it will be very easy. I told you, if you count or jumbo twice, we shall know.
Previous census has faced delays. There was a delay in 2002, and then Uganda Bureau of Statistics conducted the one of 2012 in August 2014. However, to get rid of this, officials from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics highlighted that the use of digital products will bring to the statistical process to ensure the quality of data and timely release of the census results. Pedson Mumbere, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Away from that, we now look at combating plastic pollution. Now, as the world comes together to celebrate World Environment Day, a powerful alliance between the National Environment Management Authority, Kampala Capital City Authority, as well as civil society organizations, has launched a remarkable campaign to combat the perilous effects of plastic pollution. This concerted effort aims to restore and preserve the environmental integrity of communities within Kampala and globally. Billions of dollars are lost owing to plastic pollution in the environment, which causes, of course, climate change. Naomi Mitumba has more of this report.
Plastics, once hailed as versatile and convenient material, have evolved into a mounting threat to society, causing problems such as flooding and declining soil fertility, which directly impact agricultural outputs. As the world grapples with the consequences of plastic pollution, it becomes evident that urgent action is needed to address the adverse effects of this pervasive material.
As we go along, you'll see that the environment completely changes immediately. We remove the plastics that was otherwise left, as a litter along this road. So this is just whenever the communities see for themselves that they need to live in a clean, in a healthy environment. And that plastics actually is bringing for us more problems than the solution we think it has brought.
Human behavior, our consumption behaviors, and of course the policy challenges that we have at hand. We have a habit of littering everywhere, which is why even no matter how much we preach against plastic pollution, you still see you and I drink soft drinks and then throw bottles everywhere.
In the face of escalating plastic pollution, there is an urgent need to foster a culture that prioritizes leaving the environment free from plastics. It is essential to raise awareness, educate communities, and instill a sense of responsibility among individuals to combat the pervasive problem of plastic waste.
The public has been made aware. We have talked about the dangers of plastics. What has been lacking is just action, what you would call walking the talk. Because we can talk, we can create awareness, but if there is no action happening on the ground, then still we see the problem persisting. So I think we just want to try to mobilize communities this time continuously, not only once during this week of World Environment Day, even after. It should be something that we build into a culture of cleanness.
According to the United Nations Environmental Programme, more than 400 tons of plastic is produced every year, half of which is designed to be used only once. Of that, less than 10% is recycled, while an estimated 19 to 23 million tons end up in lakes, rivers and seas, affecting fish and other marine life. Globally, billions of dollars are needed to combat plastic consumption, and there should be alternatives such as utilizing glass bottles. Civil society is also urging the government to develop a policy framework that governs plastic manufacture.
NEMA can choose to regulate the use, production and use of these plastics by way of effecting standards, of course in collaboration with UNBS. We can, as civil society, continue and intensify efforts to raise resources to support all actors that are working against the use, production and use of plastics in the country. Government needs to move very fast towards getting the policy framework framed in such a way that it discourages production and use of polyethylene bags, plastic material that is degrading to the environment. Therefore, let's speak to our leaders, but let's also speak to each other. However,
they run in billions of shillings. Even in the world over, right now as we speak, billions and billions of dollars is needed to remove what we have put there. So why do we put something there which is going to cost us billions? So I think we need to avoid that. We need to avoid it. Let's only have those categories of plastic that absolutely we shouldn't have them. But these other ones, you see people littering with them here, they're alternatives. Before, for example, we had soft drinks like sodas now being put in plastic bottles. You remember that they were all in glass bottles. And this transition is a recent one. If we went back into glass bottles for those drinks, what would happen to us? Are we going to be inconvenienced or what?
Recognizing the urgent need to address the environmental crisis caused by plastic waste, CSOs have collaborated with packaging factories to develop innovative solutions that promote sustainability and reduce the reliance on single-use plastics. These programs emphasize the importance of eco-friendly packaging materials, encouraging companies to transition towards greener alternatives that have minimal ecological impact.
What we call ecologically friendly. When they get into the environment, they decompose, what we call biodegradation. So they decompose, and therefore they pose no challenge on the environment. We intend to work with companies that package foods and companies that package soft drinks, just to pilot.
The war against plastics, targeting mainly single-use products, has been on for more than 10 years, but all the previous regulations drives seem not to have had an impact. While the East African community proposed the ban on single-use non-biodegradable plastics in 2018, Uganda lags behind its regional counterparts, with a ban yet to be fully implemented. By 2020, only 4 out of the 5 East African community member countries, including Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda and Tanzania, had successfully enforced the ban, indicating a pressing need for Uganda to intensify its efforts and take further action. Naomi Mtumba, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Now, following his profound speech in Chankwanzi emphasizing significance of wealth creation and socio-economic transformation in Uganda, President Museveni highlighted wealth creation as a cornerstone of socio-economic progress through commercial production and education. Let's have a look at this report.
In line with the President's guidance, educating and inspiring our electorate can foster a mindset shift that embraces modern and commercial farming, enabling individuals to seize opportunities and contribute to growth of our economy. This is achievable through concentrating on preaching the gospel of socio-economic transformation and ushering our communities into the money economy.
Once you are convinced that your people can modernize through commercial farming, then when you come to the government, to the caucus, you bring the bottlenecks that are blocking your people. Like in this case, if it is more dams, you bring the dams so that we dig more dams. If it is solar-powered irrigation, you bring it up so that your people, all of them, get into wealth creation.
budgeting and project implementation play pivotal roles in our pursuit of socio-economic transformation. As President Museveni emphasized, prioritization is key to ensuring successful execution of government projects, including essential infrastructure and addressing challenges in the agriculture sector. By making informed decisions and allocating resources wisely, we can maximize impact of our efforts.
The mistake you are making is you don't address those. Instead, you address roads. Yes, roads are important, but what do you transport on the roads? Because even when the roads are there, you have nothing you are transporting. Because, for instance, we tarmac the road from Soroti to Moroto, all the way. And the other time I was in Katakwi, I found them drying cassava along the road on the tarmac. But this road is not for drying cassava this road is for transporting wealth.
Additionally, President's commitment is intentional to economic transformation, exemplified by him insisting on change through commercial production, education, and proper leadership.
Is it correct for us to build a society of two types? The we of piped water and the ones of carrying water on our heads. The NRM does not, which I started being involved in the 1960s, does not believe in that type of society. Want everybody to change, and they can change, but change through two main channels. Number one, commercial production. Number two, education.
Not only is socio-economic transformation within our reach, but also starts with effective leadership, embracing wealth creation, and empowering our communities. As President Museveni wisely advised, we must not solely rely on extension workers, but take lead in this endeavor.
In relation with this, Uganda's battle against unemployment continues as more than 4.30% of its citizens are jobless. In an effort to tackle this issue, the government, in collaboration with youth leaders, have prioritized integration as a key strategy for building a productive populace. Here's a look at this story.
According to the World Bank, 5.5% of the youth are unemployed. Ministry of Finance has highlighted a continuous funding of over 40 billion through the YLP, UWEP, and other empowerment programs to reduce unemployment among the youth. These programs aim at providing financial and technical support to young people, particularly women and the youth, in starting and expanding their businesses.
To begin with, yes, we may not have a fresh allocation from the Minister of Finance, but we went ahead to plow back the 34 billion into these programs, and we also added an additional 6 billion. That was for the ending financial year, which has been 2022-2023. So we plowed back 40 billion, the 6 from the fresh release, and the 34 from what had been recovered, because this is monies that we expected to be brought back and also lent out to other youth groups. So we plowed that back, and this financial year, the PSST has assured us that they are going to create more finances to reinforce the 40 billion that we had for last financial year.
With high dropout rates, lack of opportunity and persistent corruption that create barriers which make it difficult for youth to access safe, well-paying employment, hence most of them end up working in hazardous conditions for minimal compensation. In partnership with local governments, funds are being disbursed to enable youth acquire skills and better their lives.
The huge amount of corruption that has characterized the NRM government, many of the programs that have been brought, we've been seeing headlines in the newspapers of goats being stolen, of iron sheets being stolen, things that are budgeted for, that are put in place to try and uplift people from their current state of poverty. Other than the corruption, there is a lot of insufficiency in training and access to skills.
Supporting youth entrepreneurship and addressing gender disparities, government together with youth leaders can make significant strides towards a more prosperous future for all Ugandans.
I agree that there have been a lot of achievements. We understand that PDM alone is giving a number of resources to the young people. We also believe that the youth livelihood, the money has been set to the districts to help the young people. So we agree that there are a number of achievements made in the last 2 years, but we have 3 years to go.
By fostering collaboration, aligning skills with market needs, and promoting entrepreneurship, Uganda can work towards reducing youth unemployment, driving economic growth, and improving the overall being of its citizens. Through programs such as the Youth Livelihood Program, Public Works Program, and Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, such ambitions can be achieved. Mathani Msima, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
All right, that report will usher us into a short break, but we will return with more. Stick around.
SMART24, driving business.
Cooking oil no other makes a meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
What? Obadde olobye ku ssimu?
Yamunange anti yo TV enkolera.
Nyumira omulembe omupya ogujjudde ebisanyusa omuli emikutu gya TV egisukka mu 8 n'egya radio nga kwotadde ne zifirimu ng'osinziirira wonna w'oli. Genda mu App Store oteeke app ya GOTV channels ku ssimu yo olwo onyumirwe ennaku 3 ng'olabira bwereere ewatali kukozesa data.
GOTV channels.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel, so visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
SMART24 Driving Business.
You're still watching Business Today, and thank you for the pleasure of your time. I'm Rona Nahabwe. Now continuing, and in this regard, looking at the recognition of the crucial role played by the timely and accurate weather information in mitigating the impact of extreme weather events, Daraja East Africa has launched its Scale-Up program in Uganda, and this time around specifically in Bwaise zone. This collaborative effort in these regards of weather and climate change experts aim to enhance weather information services and deliver early warnings of extreme weather events to empower local communities in building climate resilience and disaster management in their capabilities. Here's a look at
a report from the government of Uganda with support from CDKN, Makerere University and CIDT finds that investing in adaptation to climate change today is well worth the investment. The costs of inaction on climate change by 2025 are 20 times the costs of adaptation, estimated at between $3.1 billion and $5.9 billion per year by 2025, which is more than 20 times the proposed adaptation budget. Uganda National Meteorological Authority and Disaster Management Organization, ACT together, have partnered under the Daraja East African Scale-Up program. Their joint effort aims at enhancing regional disaster preparedness and response, prioritizing life-saving measures and community protection. Utilizing advanced technology and expertise, they aim to establish a reliable weather and climate information system for timely forecasts and alerts. This collaboration is a major step towards a more resilient future.
Old tradition that the British people love to talk about the weather. And on that basis, our meteorological authority is something of a national treasure. Sadly, in these times, with all the impacts of climate change, we're increasingly realising the work of the UK Met Office is coming more and more to the fore for all of us on a global level. So it's been fantastic to see the WISER programme work on weather and climate information services for the last 8 years, since 2015, in the region. It's done fantastic partnerships with national meteorological authorities, particularly here in Uganda.
You need to develop a daily template where you can issue forecasts for 12 hours, morning to evening, and then 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. You need that kind of infrastructure in place. Furthermore, you need methods of dissemination. People say SMS. SMS is damn expensive. The local man may be comfortable with a flag.
Starting in the Bwaise neighborhood, the project organizers promised to share the information with the local community through SMS and various media platforms.
Community platforms, we have community forums where the vulnerable meet with their leaders and with their local leadership and with their divisional leaders. So we will provide this information maybe through the social media platforms or through the SMSs, so that these people, once they have received this information, they can find appropriate ways of relocating at that particular time when the rain is going to be, when there's going to be lots of water in the community.
According to the discussions with countries where the regional Scale-Up project is implemented, over 1 million people have been displaced in war-torn Sudan, while in Tanzania the weather forecast information is perceived but lacks effective action. These insights aim to assist management in making informed decisions to mitigate climate change more efficiently.
Of course, as you know, on the 15th of April, armed conflict broke in many cities in Sudan, which means that we will not implement the Raja in the way we originally planned. But having this conflict means actually there is even more need for having weather and climate information communicated directly to the vulnerable communities, because you can imagine, since 15th of April, we have 1 million people internally displaced in Sudan. Most of them were already initially internally displaced. So there is extreme vulnerability. The places where they are displaced to is also vulnerable to weather and climate risks. So what we are planning to do, we would like to give, also creating this bridge, the Raja Bridge.
Community, the perception of hazard in that area, even how these people are resilient to the environment, and also we wanted to know how these people access the weather and climate information. After we did the baseline study, we found that there are a lot of gaps. For instance, the community had limited knowledge on weather and climate, but also the community were not even accessing to the weather and climate information. And those who access to the weather and climate information were not using the information to take action. That's why they could face these impacts. And in that particular settlement, of course, it is of high and lowland area.
Uganda has already witnessed the detrimental effects of climate variability, leading to significant economic losses. In 2008, a drought caused a 3% loss in value of food and cash crops, while 2 years later, extreme weather resulted in 16% loss. The impact of climate change on the country's economy is evident, with the recent warning from the Ministry of Finance that Uganda is losing approximately 3% of its GDP each year. Andrew Barije, Rona Nahawe, SMART24, Business Today.
Shifting our focus to parish development model scandals, over 482 individuals, including 261 civil servants, have been arrested and charged with misappropriating funds of parish development model and other government programs. According to Brigadier General Henry Isoke, the head of the Anti-Corruption Unit at State House, and speaking during a retreat attended by members of the National Resistance Movement Parliamentary Caucus, he highlighted that the probe revealed extortion from the public, lack of awareness among the communities, and inadequate time for the formation of SACCOs. The investigation also exposed fraudulent accounting, ghost staff, and sale of SACCO constitutions. Recommendations were made to address the identified gaps and effective implementation of the parish development model. Here's a look at the report.
In Gulu City, he received a number of complaints from the Wananchi regarding mismanagement of the PDM program. His Excellency the President invited some of the complainants to State House Entebbe to give him more details about the situation which was seen to be threatening and derailing the program that we all cherish and look at. So he directed me to attend that meeting, take note of all the complaints, carry out an investigation, and take the necessary action. Among the issues that were raised included extortion from Wananchi by some PDM officials. There was also a complaint of lack of sensitization and mobilization.
Now, development partners have threatened to withdraw financial support which they have been sending to Uganda, and according to President Museveni, there shall be cutting down on public expenditure in case it happens. In our exclusive tonight with Samla Hanifa has had a lengthy discussion with Honorable Batua Timothy, who is the Shadow Minister for Health, to help us digest
Thank you, Rona. The question on everybody's mind is about the aid that the Western powers are threatening to cut that comes to Uganda, that has been coming to Uganda. The president recently has said that in case the aid is cut, Ugandans, as Ugandans, we shall discipline ourselves in terms of expenditure. I'm joined with Honorable Batua Timothy as we delve into this topic. Honorable Batua, you are welcome. Honorable Batua is the Shadow Minister for Health, and I am sure this aid has been mainly going to the health sector. Honorable Batua, will the President's proposal of cutting down on expenses bridge the gap with the aid that has been coming to Uganda?
Thank you very much. In regard to the aid that has been coming to the health sector in Uganda to improve service delivery from the developed countries, which aid is now about to be cut because of the move the country took by way of legislating the Anti-Homosexuality Act. It will affect the country significantly. When you look at the health sector, last year we funded it to a tune in excess of 3 trillion shillings. And this aid we are talking about is about $1 billion. So that comes to 3.6 or 3.5 or 3.7 trillion Ugandan shillings. So when you look at it, health should run at a budget of about 6.5 trillion shillings. Of that we are contributing half and the development partners are contributing the other half, though they target their half that they are contributing to particular programs, namely HIV/AIDS, malaria, TB, and system strengthening. So they've put it in areas where the country can really feel it. Malaria is the biggest disease burden. We lose so many Ugandans due to malaria. HIV has brought the country to its knees. It has affected the rich, the poor, the powerful. It has affected everybody. And then the systems had collapsed. Our systems in healthcare, service delivery had collapsed. The staffing levels are extremely low, whereas WHO recommends at worst to have a staffing level of 65%. We have 33% in prominent healthcare facilities like national referrals. A case in point, a Kawempe National Referral Hospital, a specialty hospital that deals with women, having a staffing level in the 30s, yet the recommended minimum, the worst, should be 65. That gives you an impression of where we need to be and how this donor money is helping us strengthen the systems. So there are people who are on their payroll who are giving a service in this area. So when they pull out, we shall feel it significantly because they've put money where it matters most, where it is very visible, where it can be felt.
Honorable, you don't think that if we cut down on the expenses, like the government expenditure, the public expenditure, we cannot put that money to use, especially in the health sector that is going to be greatly affected when this happens, in case this is affected?
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to be in Parliament, and this has given me a wonderful exposure. Sitting on committees and getting to know the priorities that government funds. But we have a characteristic list called the unfunded priorities. When you look at that list, priorities that are not funded, then it limits your prospects of cutting down on expenditure because we have a list of items that should actually receive money. Like, for example, in this budget process that we've just concluded, Red Cross had a budget that should have run it that should be running it in the coming financial year, but it was cut by 80%. But now look at Red Cross and the activities they do, whether it's a landslide, whether it is a big accident or what, you will always see the ambulances there. This is an institution where an ambulance will be brought and the sick or those ones that are injured are rushed to the hospitals without asking for money for fuel, without delay. But such an important institution having its budget cut by 80% and again believing that you can do further cuts. Now where will you do further cuts? We are discussing interns and senior house officers. These are medical people, the doctors who are handling referral hospitals mainly. These don't get a salary. Their welfare is managed on an allowance. And in this particular budget, the allowance wasn't provided for. So if you've cut the allowances, what other further cutting can you do? So we are on the brink. We can't do any further cutting. There isn't any money that we are spending casually. So, we are on the limit. We are on the extreme limit. What can be done at the moment is to fast track the National Health Insurance Scheme, but still it can't cover the gap, because if you're to look for 3 trillion, much as the donors have been giving us in excess of 3 trillion, but if you're to look for 3 trillion, you will need at least 15 million Ugandans to pay 200,000 shillings. It is simple on paper, but very hard to implement. You can look at it in comparison with the NSSF. NSSF, the total number of contributors who are contributing mandatory contributors are about 900,000 to 1 million. And these are the mandatory ones. But we need 15 million. We need 15 million. So if NSSF can raise up to 1 million, how hard will it be to look and fetch for another 15 million out of Uganda? So it's quite difficult. And if it's to be voluntary, that whoever wishes to contribute to the National Health Insurance Scheme should contribute. If I'm to look at NSSF and fish out the extent they've gone in soliciting for voluntary contributors, as per 2022 International Labour Organization data, it indicates that the voluntary contributors in NSSF are 31,000. So if we are to leave the National Health Insurance Scheme to be a voluntary activity, we can only manage to fish around the same 30,000, maybe up to 50. But this is an indication of the number of people who are likely to subscribe if it's voluntary. And if they are to pay 200,000, you will fetch only 6 billion. But you're in a scenario where you need to look for 3 trillion Ugandan shillings. So it's an uphill task. If you're to force them and you're to push hard, NSSF is indicating to us that the most we can go is 1 million. Meaning if somebody pushes hard and gathers 2 million, that one has surpassed and has overperformed. So the 2 million paying 200,000, that comes to very little money. You get it? That comes to very little money. So basically, it comes to 4 billion. So basically, what we are looking at here is theoretical, is imaginary. It is better to sit and iron out these issues diplomatically, because in the first place, what inspired the development partners to come to Uganda and give us aid, and most especially aid in that form, I think those factors are still subsisting. They didn't come because Uganda had opened up to homosexuality. That has never been the case. So there is a reason as to why they came. So we should use our diplomatic skill, and this is the reason why we need the right people in the right positions. We should have vacated the idea of rewarding loyalists, having cadres in positions that command authority, that command power. We need to have diplomats who should be diplomats on merit, not people being rewarded because of their loyalty, not cadres being given ambassadorial positions. A diplomat would sit down and try to find out a diplomatic approach that can really, solve this situation. More than what has prevailed in the homosexuality, actually, the country and many citizens thought we never had a law to regulate or to limit or to prohibit homosexuality. The law was there, the law existed, but the situation was handled as though there wasn't any, and it excited everybody, including the development partners. So that act of bringing another law when one is already existing, and yet this aid was given to us at a time when we still had a homosexuality law. You get it? So we lost it diplomatically. We just lost the fight diplomatically.
Honorable, if we are to take the president's side of cutting down on expenses, where should we start from? Where can we start from? Because we know there's excessive public spending, which is costing the country. Yeah,
the biggest sector that really takes money is the classified budget, and classified means they can't tell us what they buy. But we justify classified because we know it is to do with security, and the security of the country should be handled in such a manner that our enemies don't get to know how weak we are or how strong we are, such that they keep respecting us the way they've always been doing. But now that we are not at war, it's important that we cut on the classified budget. The other area where we could also get money is how quick we can start exploiting the mineral resource of this country. We know and we hear that we have gold. We see gold mining activities being done in various districts of the country, but being done casually by casual people. So how quick can our country take it on as a state activity? How quick can we convert the fuel that we have into money? Of course, we are waiting for the pipeline to be constructed, but in the meantime, can we ferry it, using the roads? Even if we are to commit 5,000 trucks or 6,000 trucks to do that work, so that on each day, about 2,000 can ferry several barrels. So as the 2,000 go, the 2,000 are waiting to load, and another 2,000 are waiting to be loaded after the second 2,000, so that we form a circuit. You get it. As the other ones offload, they come and reload. So how quick can we convert fuel, that oil that we have, into money? And this is the real area where our reasoning and hope should be. When we start talking in terms of budget cuts, it's not visible, because even the classified budget that we are talking about, it is very important. Security, sovereignty of the country is very important, and it's not just important on paper, but you have to have the strength to protect the country. Strength is in terms of weapons, it's in terms of the people. They have to be trained, they have to be healthy, they have to be motivated. You get it. So I really don't think Uganda is a country that can do any more budget cuts. It has so little, it has overcut. Most of the sectors have underfunded and unfunded, not unfunded priorities. And what is funded is actually underfunded. So my hope is in the God-given wealth, the resources that are beneath the ground. Specifically the gold, which President Museveni, in one of the State of Nation address, happened to say that our worth of gold is 12 trillion US dollars. What we have is 12 trillion US dollars. That is a lot of money. It can transform us into a first world country overnight, you see. So let's put all the thinking in that, even if it means getting maybe an outstanding multinational company, a private company that is really doing this kind of mining, and we give it reality, fetch this money. That's what we have to do, but there isn't any thinking that can go beyond that prospect.
Honorable, don't you think now in such a case, if this is effected, if the aid is cut, don't you think government is going to think of more tax, bringing more types of taxes to tax Ugandans who are already being taxed a lot?
No, taxes can't be increased limitlessly, because at a particular point, issues of compliance come in. So if you raise the tax, you reduce the compliance. Most people default. A case in point, the borders have a permit to pay. It's not a tax, it's under the Road Traffic Act. There is a permit that they should pay. That license goes for about 200 to 300,000, 100,000. No, it goes for about 200,000. But it has conditions that before you pay for it, you need to be examined, and the cost of examination is also in the schedule, about 100,000. Then before examination, your vehicle, your bike has to also be inspected, and the cost of inspection is also in the schedule. It's in the act. Now, when you put all that together, these people part with 500,000 just to get a permit. Now, 500,000 is not affordable. Consequently, these people are not paying. That's why whenever there is an operation to get those that have not paid for the permit, almost everybody is rounded up. So this is an indication that you can't increase taxes limitlessly. The moment compliance comes in, then you will realize much less than you've been realizing. At the moment, we are really pushing beyond limits such that we collect 25 trillion. It's not easy. Even when we collect 25 trillion, what is due to debts, what we have to pay for the loans, is again so big that what is left is about 8 trillion, which is just enough for our recurrent budget. Recurrent is paying for salary. You're just paying for salary. You're paying for the daily operations, the fuel for these cars to move up and down, the maintenance and all that. So for you to do development activities, for you to do investment activities like the way you need to do in agriculture, so that a country realizes more money in the coming financial year, it won't be possible. So our healthcare sector will also not be able to buy equipment because that's under the development.
So, Honorable, as we wrap up this, so in conclusion, Uganda cannot sustain itself without the support from the donor partners.
Uganda can only sustain itself if it gets the natural resources that are underneath and puts them on the market. So the earlier they can convert the oil into money, the earlier they can convert the gold into money, it is the moment they can now start sustaining health. Anything outside that is theoretical, is for the paper and for the speech. It will just be good English, but it will not be practical.
Thank you so much, Honorable Batua. That was Honorable Batua, who is the Shadow Minister for Health. You've heard it from him. The only way we can sustain ourselves as Uganda, we can sustain our budget, is if we make the resources into money. If we get the money from the resources that we have, that is the only way. Otherwise, we still need the donor support money as a country. Thank you so much.
And for that engaging discussion, we sure hope that the government is able to strike a balance between the unprivileged HIV patients and the bill, the very humanitarian bill that they recently passed. Business today, and if you missed any of these stories, I would like to implore you to watch on our YouTube channel at SMART24 TV Live and follow on our social media platforms as always, and engage to get to know all the business related content within the region. I'm Rona Nahabwe. Have a lovely evening.